In this video I want to talk you through question 3 from the Leaving Cert composition paper. Question 3 is one of the melody writing questions, so many of you will have chosen not to do it. You will have already done question 1 or 2, but for the people who want to do question 3, hopefully this video will be helpful. Most of what you'll do in this question is already outlined in the videos for question 1. You'll still have a lot of, if you look at my example that I've done down here, you'll still have a lot of the same things that we've done in question 1. For example, this one that I've done is in the key of A major, so we have to end on do, and we raise from T to do at the end. That's something we've got in question 1, 2, and 3, and it's something we do here. And we've also got our modulation. So we're in the A major, so we modulate to the dominant, which if you look at some of our earlier videos, you'll know that the dominant of A major is E major. So we modulate to E major by raising the 4th note of A major, which is a D, and that raises to D sharp. We've got it right here. So in these two bars, just like in our question 1, we modulate to the dominant. So we've got our modulation. We've then got, we would normally have a sequence here. That's something you don't really use very much in question 3. You don't have a sequence here because the form in question 3 often tends to be a bit different to question 1. You've also got quite a lot of repetition. There's actually even more repetition in question 3 than there would be in question 1. But these are all things you look at. The main things that you've still got are the ending, the T to do ending, the use of certain cadences at the end of different bars, your imperfect and perfect cadences, and also your modulation to the dominant, or if you're in a minor key, your modulation will be to the relative major. Those are the things that are similar to question 1. You also have to tick your instrument box, so let's just say it was on violin, could be any of them, but you have to tick your instrument box, and you also have to add your phrasing and dynamics. All that is pretty much the same as you would get in question 1. Where it's different from question 1 is that question 3, as well as the initial 4 bars that you're given, the first 4 bars that you have to write the following 12 bars to, as well as those 4 bars, you are given those, you have to stick to a particular dance rhythm that they've given you, or meter or form. Meter is a time signature, essentially. The dance rhythm in this particular one is from a dance type called a gavotte, which is it's an old Baroque dance. But there are lots of different ones. I'm going to do a separate video on all of the different dance types that you're going to need to know, and the features of those dance types that you're going to need to know to do this. But just for this particular video, we're working with a gavotte. And you're also, as well as looking at the type of dance you've been given, you want to look at this one, the form you've been given. So you have to stick to a particular form. In this case, your form is A, A1, B, B1. And what that means is, so I'm just going to write it over here. So I'll use blue for all the form related stuff. So your form is A, A1, B, B1, which means you've got your A section. So I'll just write A section. Then for A1, it's just a repeat of the A section. So it's a repeat of the A section, but with some alterations. Usually the very end of these 4 bars, of the 4 bars of A1, will be changed from the initial one. So you repeat the A section with changes, so with alterations. Okay. Then your next couple of bars is going to be your B section, which is a contrasting section to your A section, and B1, which is a repeat of the B section with alterations. So repeat with alterations. Okay, that's a really, that's a really important thing to look at when you first look at your instructions. What form do you need to use? Because that tells you everything you need to do. So your A section, that's going to be bars 1 to 4. So I'm going to write in bars 1 to 4. Your A1 is going to be bars 5 to 9. Sorry, 5 to 8 rather. Your B section is going to be bars 9 to 13, and your repeat of the B section is going to be bars 9 to 12. Your repeat of your B section is going to be 13 to 16. Okay, So that's your different sections, and this stuff is really important too, because it ties in very closely with your modulations. You modulate at the end of A1, and that's how you're going to change from your A section. So you had your A section, your A1 is going to be almost an exact repeat of that. If you look down, I've got almost an exact repeat of all these notes right up along here. Just going to get rid of those. But where it changes is at the very end, because I modulate. I have my modulation there, and it needs to change into my new key. When I've got my B section, along with repeats, if you look down here, I've got my B section almost the exact same again. All these notes match up. But the first time I do it, I need to have an imperfect cadence. The second time I need to do it, I need to have a perfect cadence. That's where my B section changes. So my A section, the main difference in the repeat from the original is I've got a modulation at the end. My B section, the main difference from the original when I repeat is that I've got a perfect cadence rather than an imperfect cadence at the end. So that's all to do with form, and that's really, really important stuff. So the main things you need to look at when you open this up that are different from question 1, like I said, are your dance form, your dance and your form. We've got everything covered there with form. I just want to quickly look at that dance as well. The dance type, as we mentioned, is a gavotte. Like I said, I'll have a video on all of these, but essentially the things you need to know about a gavotte are it's in 4/4 time, so it's in 4/4 time, and it starts on the third beat of the bar. So it starts on the third beat of the bar, and every phrase then starts on the third beat of the bar. So as you can see, it starts with a 2-beat upbeat. It starts on the third beat, and every phrase then ends with here, so that you've got another 2-beat upbeat leading into each new phrase. Because of that, phrases tend to end with a minim, because your phrases kind of have to end with a long note, and minim is the longest one you can get here because it's you only have 2 beats to end your phrase. So phrases tend to end with a minim, and it generally tends to have crotchet and quaver movement. Crotchet and quaver. You won't get any real big semi-quaver passages or anything here. Gavotte tends to be mostly crotchet and quaver movement, as you can see. Sometimes you get a dotted crotchet quaver in there, but most of the time it's crotchet quaver movement. They're the main things you really need to know about a gavotte before we start composing. So just remember, it starts on the third beat, which you've actually already got. They've given you a lot of this. It's in 4/4 time, and it tends to be mostly crotchet and quaver movement. Your phrases end on a minim. Okay, let's go and break down the example we've got. So we're in A major. We've got our T to Do ending. We need to look at our form. So we've got our A section. It's A. We've got A1. We've got B, and we've got B1, and you can actually see how, sorry, call that there. You can actually see how your B section, your repeat of your B section is just an exact mirror, almost an exact mirror of your original B section. Your repeat of your A section, almost an exact mirror of your original A section. That's why when I mentioned there are your repeats when you're doing question 3, they tend to be a lot. You tend to repeat a lot more than you do in question 1. In question 3, if I just get my different color, we almost repeat exactly. So we've got B here, B here, E here, E here. See, we've got an exact repeat. Even in bar 2, still got an exact repeat. Bar 3, we've got almost an exact repeat, but then we need to change. Because we're coming up to our modulation, modulating to the dominant. Which, again, if you look at our videos on question 1, you'll understand all of that. When we got our B section, I'll just get a different color to join up. Again, we've got almost an exact repeat. Exact repeats all the way. Nearly all exact repeats. The only time you change is when you come to the end of these bars, the last 2 bars in each one. Because in this one, you need to have your imperfect cadence. We're in A, and we're outlining an A chord here with our A, C sharp, A being our main notes, and we're landing on one of the notes of chord E. So we've got our imperfect cadence going from chord 1 to chord 5. Down here we've got our perfect cadence because we're outlining the chords of an E major, which is the chord 5. So we've got G sharp, E, we've got another G sharp here, and then we're going to chord 1. So the only real time you change, it essentially follows most of the exact rules of question 1. We still got our T to Do ending. We've still got to follow our rules regarding the anacrusis. We still got to follow our modulation rules. We drop the sequence, and what we do is we look at our form and we match it up almost exactly as best possible for maybe the first 2 bars, because it has to be, that's what an A section and an A1 is. Your A1 has to be almost an exact repeat of your A. Your B1 has to be almost an exact repeat of your B. When it changes is at the end of each 2 bars, because that's where you set up your modulation at the end of A1, and that's where you change from an imperfect cadence to a perfect cadence at the end of B1. Okay, I hope that all makes sense. As you can see, we've also stuck to our gavotte rhythm. We've got our 2-beat upbeat at the end of each phrase. We've got a 2-beat upbeat at the original. We've got mostly crotchet and quaver movement. It's in 4/4 time, so we've got a gavotte dance going on there. I'm just going to quickly play that for you so that you can hear it.